conversation with character to reflect on my past to present, aware of character defects.
I'm sorry.
The passion, the power, the purpose of unwoven recovery, unity, service, 1 year token.
The most prestigious network in the land.
This is Character Asked It. You already know Character Did It. I'm here with Daryl. Tell us about yourself, man. What do you do?
I am a disabled model and actor, and I dabble in some other stuff too, but whatever I can, really.
How old are you?
I am 36, almost 37.
Okay. Where are you from?
I am here in Bristol, England, which is part of the UK. Which is in the southwest of England.
Is that where you grew up?
Born and bred.
All right, so tell me about your childhood.
I spent most of that unconscious. Because I was born with a condition called Pfeiffer syndrome, which is a rare condition which meant that the bones in the head were fused together. So as I grew up through my first 18 years of life, they had to use my head as a jigsaw and break it apart and put it back together and expand it and stuff. But as well as that, I had many other, and still have other conditions which weren't to do with the Pfeiffer syndrome, but kind of didn't help. So they had to do all that shit as well, and most of it was rare. We'll probably get into that as we go by. So most of my early life was hospital, unconscious, in a hospital bed, having surgery, going home for little bits, going to school for little bits, doing school in many different places, be it hospital bed, hospital schoolroom, home, mainstream school, all over really. But I did all right with schooling, really, even though I was missed a load.
That's crazy that you did well in school. I mean, would they send work to you and things like that?
All of it. They would do all of it. They'd give adults in my life who would teach me to do stuff that the school set, and then I'd go into school and do stuff, and I'd be in the hospital bed, and the hospital would have their own school teachers and things.
Wow.
It was, I don't know, people say it was difficult, but it was all I knew. So,
Sure.
And it's all I do know.
And the surgeries were pretty, common until you were done growing?
The Pfeiffer syndrome surgeries were, you had to have a certain amount at that time. So about 4 I had, I think, the bringing, building the skull back up, expanding it, because if it hadn't have happened, the insides would have grown, and I wouldn't be here now. But and then nearer the end of my young adult, so 18-ish, they bring the jaw forward and do all this with metal frames, and that was fun. I've got titanium here.
Wow.
I've got fucking nuts and bolts. I got, metal plates.
So, I mean, is it pretty much numb to the touch for you?
Some of it, like here is, I had you have Sky in America, didn't you?
What is it?
You have Sky Telly where you are, the big remote controls. the TV remotes.
Oh, yeah.
Big chunky ones. Years ago, someone went like that on my head here, and the thing fell apart, and I just went. And they're all there going, did that hurt? I went, no.
Wow, that's crazy.
But because they hit it in the right place here,
Wow.
but lower, I've got shunts and stuff, which pump fluid and which is just under the skin, basically.
Gotcha.
That would have
been a problem.
That would have been a problem.
Yeah. So
And with
before we go on,
as well.
before we go on, you said you had the other conditions that were affecting it.
Other conditions which kind of were and weren't. I had liver problems. I had to have a liver bypass, portal vein bypass, which is the flow from the liver to the spleen or whatever, vice versa. There wasn't one. So they had to go in and put a vein in. They were gonna use a foreign body, so an artificial vein to make the blood flow.
Sure.
But when they went in, they found an unused umbilical vein, and they went, "Oh, we'll try that." So we were told, and they said that they, as far as they know, at that time, no one had ever done it before. And they said, "Oh, because it's your own, we won't have to go in every now and then to change it." So they said, but we'll give it 10 years just to make sure we know it's working. And yeah, that was fun. That was like,
that's crazy.
that was about 2011 or something like that, finished.
Wow.
So 2001-ish was when I had that done. Yeah, that was fun. I've had tons. I died enough times. Like 4 times where they literally go, "Oh, no, you're right," and then they go, "Oh, actually." But I mean, I don't remember. And that's everyone else, my family and friends and all this stuff. That's their.
Is there a root cause to all this that they know of? Wow. One in with the Pfeiffer syndrome. One in, at the time at least, one in every 100,000. Wow.
Have it, but my form of it is the rarest of the lot. There's many forms of it. I'll send you links and stuff later. But because I got everything else, the other conditions, that makes my body rarer, or more rare. Yeah, and I've made a lot of doctors go, eh? like top doctors, top specialists.
Sure.
They're just like, that shouldn't happen, but it has. So yeah, I had something called Kawasaki disease. Not really sure what that was, or it is. I know it came up again when coronavirus happened, about with kids and stuff. And the same as the motorcycle, that name. I don't know why, but that I had it as a child, like a baby or something, and it's something that I think alcoholics get or can get, like really bad alcoholics, as far as I've heard. But I was a kid, so I wasn't.
Not quite an alcoholic.
I wasn't drunk. And I was probably unconscious. So yeah, So that was unusual. I had, because of the bone structure, with not just the head, but many things, thumbs aren't really bendy, they're just straight. My toes, my arms and legs don't straighten out
Wow.
fully, but to me they do.
They work.
Yeah, I'm used to it. Because of all that, I had a load of breathing troubles. And when I had the breathing troubles, they gave me a tracheostomy. And I had that for about a year and a half.
Wow.
But during having it, my airway collapsed. At the time, I had the smallest tube possible, like a baby's tube, and I was like, I don't know, 10, 8, 9, 10. So I had the smallest one possible. They said that if it needed any smaller, that doesn't exist. But the airway collapsed, and they didn't know what to do, but they contacted other hospitals, and most of them were just like, nah, you're all right, we don't. But you may have heard of a place called Great Ormond Street Hospital in London. It's famous because of people.
Yeah, I think I've seen it in movies.
Yeah. If you've seen, is it Hook?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that is
brilliant. Yeah. And they were the ones that went, yeah, we'll give it a go. So they went in, and I went in, and they went in they used my ribs, like cartilage or bone or whatever, and they used that to rebuild my airway.
Wow.
Which, again, I don't think that had been done, or that was a new way of doing things, or something. And they said that with the collapse, it took the vocal cords. And they said the chances are he won't talk again. And this was before my voice breaking. So when I did start talking again, me and everyone else had an assumption that there was a bit of healing of voice box, vocal cords. So about 2000 and, I forget dates, 12, 13, 14 maybe, I don't know. I was doing something at home and I just went, something's going on. What am I doing? And I got my doctor to refer me back to the ear, nose and throat clinic where I used to go, which they did. And I went in, and my dad was still in the waiting room. My mum came in to the appointment with me. My dad saw the person that called me in. That matters for the bit later in the story. Went in and there were like 4 or 5 people, just maybe more, just sat there watching me sit down, and I was like, what's going on? So obviously they looked at my notes, my medical notes, and the top like surgeon chap was at the back of the room just being hidden or whatever. So they put the camera up my nose and down my throat, which I'm used to that.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, for some reason, it was just a bit. Usually I'm like looking at the screen making comments about my inner But this time was a bit tough, and I came to, and for basically, if I say their jewels were on the floor, I'm not far off of that being true. I looked at them and they were shocked. This is like the speech and language therapist, the ENT specialist, all of it. And one of them runs out of the room across the waiting room where my dad is. But this person was the person that called me in. So my dad knows her. He's, for want of a better term, shitting himself.
Yeah.
Because he knows her. She goes to her department, the speech and language. She runs back and she's got one of those like anatomical human bodies with all the bits that come out. And she looks at me and she goes, "You see those vocal cords in the anatomical thing?" I went, "Yeah." She took them out. She went, "You ain't got them." And they showed me on the video where the vocal cords should be. So when you see vocal cords, they're moving, like opening and closing when you're talking.
Right.
Mine are just
What?
there's just nothing like there. So yeah, I'm yeah.
So you're
that
like
was-
deaf. You're technically mute, but you can speak.
Technically, yeah. They said that they said that they'd seen it where people have had or not had the same as me, like with the vocal cords, where people don't have them, but they haven't seen it where the person that doesn't have them is talking to the extent that I can talk.
Wow.
And these are like some of the top people. They're just like, nah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you got a load of questions for them, like, will I ever lose my voice and things like that? And they're just like, don't know.
Wow.
No idea.
Wow.
And it's basically just hot air.
How old were you when that happened?
It was about maybe 10 years ago. So 25, 26.
Wow.
Maybe. I lose track of dates, but
Had your voice changed? Like you had started feeling that weird way that made you go to the doctor. Had your voice changed since, before that?
I think I just felt there was a difficulty, and I was always deep voiced anyway.
Sure.
And I used to ring my friend up, and back in the days when it was answer machines and all this, and if it was an answer machine, I'd never leave a message. But they knew it was me because they'd just there. Just hear me grunting. Yeah.
But man, you've been through so much, and this is one of the reasons I was so excited to interview you, because you haven't let a damn thing stand in your way.
No, I'm not long after the vocal cord thing, I started doing stand-up.
Wow.
I don't do it anymore, but all of that was basically self-deprecating. What I'm telling you now with punchlines and things like that.
Sure.
Yeah, but then out of the stand-up came the modelling. I was kind of scouted, I suppose. I went to a local exhibition for a photographer, and we had a chat like we're doing now. So I get a bit emotional because he's no longer with us now. He's quite recently passed. And during that conversation, he was like, "Do you want some headshots for your comedy?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right." Because just
Sure, why
seeing
not?
him with scars and stuff, but just like, and because he was a portrait photographer, he was like open and all this. So we did that, and then we did another shoot, and we did another shoot, and did another shoot, and then like the fourth or fifth shoot down the line was with another model, and we did 3 sets, suited and booted, so smart suit, her in a dress, and then a challenge was to get starters absolutely naked with her. Did that, and that was looking back, it was very easy. Now, I was nervous,
Sure.
whatever,
Sure.
but she'd done it before, and it was just naked, not like doing anything.
Right.
And then the next bit, we were Jesus and Mary Magdalene. It was like Jesus had literally come off the cross, just all these scars and shit. Mine the hands at him. We did that, and after that session, I sat there and I went, I wonder if I can life model. Because I've done it. I've been nude in front of 2 people that I don't really know. Could I be nude?
You broke the ice, like, I mean, whatever.
And keeping still for I don't know how long.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
In front of like 10 people or 20 people or 25 or whatever. And yeah, I can.
How long do you have to stay there for? How long do you have to stay still for?
It can differ. You can 30 seconds to like 45, 50, 60 minutes. But then some will do like a 3-hour pose, but you've got like a break every 20 minutes. And so it differs wherever you go. But yeah, I've made loads of friends doing that. I do portrait as well, which is as easy as doing the nude stuff, to be fair. They're both on equal grounds for me. I do chat a lot during the both. I can, because a lot of people say they have all these people doing different things like acrobatics and all this stuff while they're posing, and I'm just laid back,
chilling.
Literally.
It probably makes it more comfortable when you kind of have conversation.
Yeah, and like I might not be able to see the person that I'm chatting to because I'm facing that way, and they're like over there.
Sure.
But I know people and we chat, and as long as I know what pose I'm in, I was like facially, but yeah, just people like the going from the extreme to the laid back apparently. So that's nice. And then I decided to sign up to some like acting agencies, supporting acting and stuff. The first one was agency in London, which is about 2 hours from me, called, I love this name, Ugly Models. And they basically have everything and everyone that isn't the generic.
That's amazing.
Like, you look at some people and you go, how the hell are you on Ugly Models? But there's something about them the agency knows that isn't the norm,
Right.
which is bollocks. It's just, but it's giving real people the opportunity, and I've had jobs through them which are decent, and yeah, I like it. It's nice when you go on with a face like this. It's nice when you go on set, and then you got the women or the people there with their iPads, the drone in the sky, and they're looking at what the drone can see, and they run over to you and go, "Can you take your hearing aids off?" And they're like, because I went, "Yeah, that's fine." And they're like, "Because you're literally the only thing on screen right now." Yeah, fine. It's nice like that. I know it's laid back, it's easy. I know my limits. They tell them my limits. It's a bit. It's tiring, but I enjoy it.
Sure.
I'm self-employed, so I can just have a day off if I want or need. And talking about hearing aids, I recently got bone-anchored hearing devices.
Excuse me? What? Oh, I've heard of those. Yeah. Huh.
So I used to have the in-ear ones, which obviously you get blockages and all this stuff, earwax there.
Yeah.
I had that for pretty much all my life up to September 15th. I had the surgery, and you can buy like the over-ear headphones and stuff. It's basically that.
Okay.
Instead of it being over ear, it's in the skull. And it's so much better.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
So much better. Like I'm there and I've got my ears blocked, but I can still hear everything. The surgery was fun.
I'm sure you're used to that by now. I mean,
they were like, and I know that I was awake while they did it, and I know that when you're awake, when they do things like that, the recovery is non-existent because there's nothing to. You're not medicated.
Okay.
So there's nothing to worry about. So they numb the area, which, like when you go to the dentist, but that's literally just through the skin. That's it. And I'll tell you what, it's easier. It was easier than the dentist.
Really? Huh. Okay.
So, and this was a day case, so I'm not used to day case. I'm used to going to hospital and staying.
Right.
So I turn up not really having a clue what to expect or do. So I brought nothing with me, and they were like, "Oh, have you got a dressing gown?" I went, "No." They were like, "Have you got slippers?" I was like, "No." So they gave me like 2 hospital gowns. So one back to front and one whatever. So your ass isn't hanging out, which I wouldn't worry about. But, and I'm walking down to the surgery with these on, and my Doc Martens hanging out at the bottom of the boot, like boots hanging out at the bottom of it. And I'm like, and I'm led. I get on the fear bed, and it's high up. So I get on it. They cover me up in like loads of blankets and stuff, so my hands are underneath. Then they lower it. I went, "That's the wrong way around, mate. You got to lower it first so I can get on it properly." And then he went, and then the nurse went, "Got to put your SATS machine on your finger to just check your pulse and stuff like that." and your heart rate. So I went, I'm covered up, all right. So I wangle my arm and I throw it out of the blanket and I punch him straight in the cock. And I literally looked at him and went, I mean, it's not my fault.
You asked for this.
It's just, if I hadn't have had, yeah. But he was fine with that. I think he understood why it happened. And then they numb the area, one side at a time. They leave it a minute. And then she goes, can you feel this? And I went, feel what? And apparently she was there with the scalpel, just scratching.
Wow.
And I didn't feel a thing. And she went, oh, that's good. And then cut open it.
Wow.
And it's literally
Oh God. Oh.
and all this. And I'm like, other than I know they're doing it and you can feel someone doing something, I can't feel a thing, like pain-wise.
That's so crazy.
And I'm led there like that for like 25 minutes, chatting to this nurse who I just punched in the cock. And while he's there twiddling his thumbs.
Oh,
I said,
man.
yeah, I think I said, if you got nothing to do, and he went, you're awake. I haven't got to do anything. I'm like, fair enough. And then you go to the other side and vice versa and do the same. And she's chatting to me while she's doing it, telling me what she's doing. And I'm like, I honestly wish I had a mirror so I could see what they were doing. Because I've got a boner. Speaking of things like that, I had years ago, because of my Pfeiffer syndrome, with the joints. So I said about the toes earlier. My big toe on my right foot had an extra bone in it, in there. So as I grew, my big toe went like that. So what they did was they took that extra bone out, so it straightened, but it also shortened it a bit, and they put a screw in. And they said, oh, it might give you trouble in the future, and it did. The cold weather, it felt like there was a fucking ice cube in my toe.
Oh.
Yeah. Now that's something you don't want. Like a constant ice cube that doesn't melt.
And it makes sense. I mean, it's metal on the coldest part. You know, you're walking on. Oh boy, that's miserable.
So that was out, and I said, "I'll remove it." So I went in for a day case again. This was like the first day case I'd ever had, and for some unknown reason, they left me to the end of the day, and I was awake. Because it's the same thing. They'd numb it and then just do whatever. And the nurse goes, do you want to lie down? I went, nah, I'll sit up and watch. And I sat up and watched. And I was dying to keep the screw as a memento, and he wouldn't let me.
Why?
I think the NHS have a rule that they must incinerate it or something for infections. I'm like, it's my body. But he wouldn't let me. And I watched him do all the stuff. And I was intrigued. That's why I'm watching it. And I said, so what are you going to do? Is it like all rusted and you're going to just pull it out? I said, oh, is it literally going to be like a screwdriver? And as I said that, he went, yeah.
Oh.
And I saw it. I was like, okay, fair enough. And my toes like that. And the screw was fucking huge.
Oh.
It was You know the big screws you buy? The big ones, the long ones. It was like that.
In your toe?
How the hell did that get in there? It was huge. But yeah, I was going to have it in a chain wrap around my neck.
Lucky rabbit's foot.
Yeah, just my lucky screw. But
So beyond all that, you get into modeling in your mid-20s, correct?
yeah.
I'm sure that you experienced some resistance in the beginning. Am I wrong?
I experienced resistance in life in general, really.
Yeah.
So I went into it expecting stuff. And to be fair, face to face, I've not experienced anything really. I've experienced people obviously getting turned down and stuff, but I don't know whether that's because
Right.
or just generally. But yeah, I go through life expecting it, and I tell them where to shove it, to be fair.
Has it ever affected you when you were younger? Did it ever affect you negatively?
In school, I never had any problems with bullying or anything. Everyone loved me for whatever reason. Still do. Honest. But outside of school, I'd have little bits like taunts or whatever. And obviously, the more I had, the more I got not used to it, but I worked how to deal with it.
How was that?
These days, flip it on them, turn it around, turn their negative crap into a positive whatever. The chances are, if you say something about my appearance, I've said it about myself.
True.
I've taken that from you
Yeah.
before you've even said it. And to be fair, like, I get stuff, I've had stuff on like minimal stuff, and it upsets friends of mine, but I'm there trying to calm my friends down, saying don't worry about it, it's fine. But a recent one was some guy said I look like a shit Picasso, and I looked and I went, I've said that. That's mine. That's what I've said. But from a dickhead like you, that's actually quite funny. It's actually quite smart.
I'm impressed. You were clever enough, you know.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You're still a fucking asshole, but, and I think they hated that. I think they hated that.
Yep.
So I screenshotted it and shared it. Someone said you'd get on a t-shirt, so I think I'm still going to get embroidered shit Picasso or I get a tattoo of it. But yeah, but kids are the best. Their reactions are just
Like what? Like what?
They're great. They're just inquisitive. The parents are the worst sometimes. Even today, I had some kid. I volunteer in a charity shop, and I was on the till, on the checkout, and I was talking, and a little kid walked in. He went, "Your voice is weird," and I walked up, and the mum went, "Tell it as it is," and I didn't hear all of it. I just heard the it's weird while he was looking at me. I loved it. I was just like, because it was inquisitive. It wasn't rude. It wasn't naughty.
Right. It was just the first thought that came across his mind. Sure.
Yeah. So I went over and I said, "Do you want to know why that is?" So I told him, like, I have no vocal cords. And then he was just like, oh, cool. And then toys.
Sure.
But years ago, I was in a pub and I was sat one side of a pool table, and my old man, my dad, was the other side of the pool table. And I'm deaf, but I've learned to like hear certain stuff. And this little kid, about 10, 11, was talking with my dad. His back was facing me and my dad was head on to me. And I could hear bits of what this kid was saying. Because every now and then he'd like look round at me. And my dad's telling him what my Viper syndrome and things. And the next thing, this kid just turns around, looks at me and looks at my dad and goes, so, is that why he's got wobbly eyes? And I'm dying. And my dad's got a big smirk on his face because he knows how I'm reacting to it. Right? And I've used that ever since. I'm just like, that is the best,
Wobbly.
best description ever. And it's just, I don't think anyone's beat that yet, like as a verbal description. I've had with the comedy, I allowed friends of mine to mock me, to do jokes.
Sure.
Because then I'd probably return it. And one time there was a musician who I know called Grant Sharkey. And him and a stand-up bass or guitar or whatever. And I knew this happens, but I wasn't expecting it. So it was in my mate's flat. He did like a home show. And I went into the kitchen and I came back. And what he does, I know he does this, is he gets a ping pong ball, cuts it in half, draws a dot on it in a random place, and they're eyes. And I walk in, and I went, "You're taking the fucking piss." Joking, like. And I think if I recall, the owner of the flat and the musician, or they mentioned it. Like, Dad was not here, but if he sees this, it's going to be great. And and there's a picture of me somewhere with him with this fucking eye. We look identical. But just so there's that. But yeah, just if you know me, and even my family take the piss, for fuck's sake, I'm happy. I'm fine with that. But when it comes from strangers, people that don't know me, it's generally, there's a hate with it, usually. And I try and turn it. You shouldn't have said it because you're a prick, but I will try and flip that around. And one of the reasons I stopped the stand-up is because my confidence went through the roof. As people know and understand, I either don't see the people mocking me, or it just doesn't happen. And that was my material. I didn't write jokes. The jokes wrote themselves.
Sure.
Because they happened to me.
Right.
So it was kind of a double-edged sword or whatever, where you get the comedy, but then the content doesn't. Yeah. So it's all self-deprecating, but you don't get the stuff because you couldn't give a shit, really, I suppose. But
What would you say have been your biggest accomplishments?
oh God, surviving.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, I say that, but that was done by everyone else. I get, yeah, my body's my body and stuff, but it was the doctors and nurses and all the other hospital people and my parents and my rest of my family that were there. They're the ones that suffered, and they're the ones that helped me survive, that made me survive. So I say that even though, yeah, I suppose I did a bit. not like intentionally, but just it's just a bit difficult to intentionally survive while you're bloody and bruised and on a hospital bed, unconscious.
But you did more than survive, though. You're thriving. You know, once you did get through it all, and I know you still deal with plenty, but you really didn't let anything stand in your way. You did not let this hold you back in any way, and you're doing things that you absolutely love.
These days, and I think this is harder, it's all the mental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I can deal with all that other stuff that I've been through, the physical, whatever. I mean, I dealt with it recently with this thing being done, because originally I didn't have the right medication, and it was like right down here. When the pain came, when the feeling came back, yeah, that was fun. And I was like, give me good stuff. And they did. So that, yeah. But easy.
Sure.
But the mental, the anxiety, the depression, and one thing I've realised very recently, because I lost two close people in the last month or so.
I'm so sorry.
On the same day, actually. One was suicide, and the other was killed over, and 30 minutes later, gone.
Wow.
The suicide was the person that got me on this path in modeling and acting and stuff. So that was hard. My muse, basically. Yeah, I was his muse, and people say that and know that. But he was mine as well, like mentally. Like he'll say something and I'll be like, yeah, let's do that. And his name is Claudio Allers, German chap. So that was fucking difficult. And then the evening of, my friend Zep Wattieri, who was a musician, everyone I know seems to be in the arts of some kind. He was a musician, age 39, left a partner and child, 8-year-old child. Didn't see either of these people all the time, but when we did, mentally we were close.
Yeah.
Like Zep, we'd just be in depth conversations, just all the time. All the time we were together. And Claudio was just artistic, mainly like connections. He'd come up with stuff, and unfortunately he took some of that stuff with him when he died. So there may be adaptations to these things, but I don't know. But yeah, and I realized, like I said, recently that grieving has been a bigger part of my life than I realized, because of the hospitalization. Friends come and they go because they leave the hospital, or they die. Kids, from babies upwards, grandparents, friends of all ages. I've had that from the beginning of my time on this planet, and even people you don't know in hospital, but you know they passed, you're just like, oh. And then reasons why they pass and things like that, like not being allowed a blood transfusion because of religious beliefs of the parents, and it's things like that, and it's just like, nah.
Nah.
But yeah, no. Just I think obviously grief is a big part of my life, as I realised. But as horrible as it is, and as low as it can get me, I'm comfortable with it. I don't understand how or why, but yeah, I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with, weird to say, I'm comfortable with people dying in my life, but I mean, grief comes in many forms. Like even with just things that are happening in the world, it's an odd feeling to be comfortable with something so shit.
Well, I think it's comfort, but also I think you just, at some point when you've experienced as much as you have, it's more of, you just have to accept that grief comes in many ways, and you're gonna have it, and it's okay to have it. Like you're prepared for it, I think.
Yeah, like another mental thing is being hospitalized as much as I was, or even less. You're being institutionalized. You're being cared for by the state.
Sure.
And it's in a way equivalent to being incarcerated.
Yeah.
Like, we're being cared for. Obviously different reasons, but although I'm not in hospital as much as I was over those 18 years or so, my brain is still institutionalized. My brain is still comfortable with that, being stuck within four walls, so to speak. Oops. But yeah, there's a comfort with that. I mean, I prefer not to have tubes and wires and all that sticking out of me, but if all I had was this house, and it was just me for. I'd probably stay within those four walls for longer than I was outside of them. I also find a comfort in not lonely but solitary, just being somewhere different.
It's interesting.
On my top, on my lonesome.
That's interesting that you experienced that and you still feel that way, but you went in the model acting direction, which is out in the open, out in front of people. It seems like two different worlds. But you probably find comfort in both.
I would say I am 50 introvert, 50 extrovert.
Okay.
Mostly introverts, but extrovert when and as long as I have control of that. If I'm extroverted because someone else has control of that, you can fuck right off. I will have control of that. And yeah, it can be I can do too much.
Sure.
And yeah, I say do too much, like I do some mental health stuff for myself and for others. I went to a talk club meeting yesterday. Talk clubs, I started here, but it's international now. I'll send you links again. And there were about 5 people talking, and everyone else listens, like one at a time. And I thought I honestly walked out of that drained, like overwhelmed. And that was just like 45 minutes of stuff, and it's a men's talk club because men are the ones that talk less.
Sure.
Yeah, I walked out of that just crikey, like hearing about how people have been low and how they've come out of it.
Yeah.
And they tell you what they've done while they were low, and
yeah.
But it's good to. I would never want to stop listening to these things or doing these things because I come out overwhelmed, and that's hard. And the more I do it, the more I learn how to deal with the overwhelm.
Yeah.
That's what I do with most anything these days.
Yeah.
I just do it. Like doing the stand-up was, I had control of what I was saying.
Yeah, sure.
And I wasn't on the stage with like different people.
Right.
I was just, it was me talking like I'm talking now in a microphone to an audience who may or may not laugh. Most of the time they went.
Yeah.
But yeah, having control of everything in your life, the negatives, the positives.
Yeah.
You've got to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before I ask this next question, there's a chance that we might get cut off because I think Google Meet might have an hour limit. I'll send you another link if we do. But what's your dream with the modeling, with the acting? What do you want to accomplish with everything that you're doing?
With everything I'm doing, I'm always thinking of others. I would like to get on stage again on my own, but be talking like I'm talking now, like be it scripted or whatever. But maybe to find people with conditions that I've got, like with Pfeiffer syndrome, which, funnily enough, I follow somebody and I'm friends with somebody in the USA, in New Jersey, the Brienza family, Andrew Brienza, mainly, but John, Joe, Lauren, and the little boy called Ace, who has Pfeiffer syndrome. They found me ages ago and has followed me ever since. And they've gifted me a lot. A camera, things.
Wow.
An expensive camera as well. To help him and others, Ace, that is, and the family, to live their best with what he's got. Luckily for him, he's not got everything else that I've got. He's just got the Pfeiffer syndrome, and science has advanced over the years since I was born. To help, for me, to help them and others deal with it. He's going to be fine. He's going to just let doctors and nurses do what they need to do. Yeah, he might cry a bit, but it's the family.
Yeah.
His brothers, his mum and dad, his nearest and dearest. They're the ones that are probably going to struggle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And hey, you'd make a hell of a motivational speaker.
I get told that quite a bit.
It really, like, that. I love your story. I love hearing all this because I know it's like the third time I've said it, but there's so many people that would convince themselves that they couldn't do this or they couldn't do that, and that was just never something that never crossed your mind, and that's inspiring.
Don't get me wrong, I've done that, but that was then.
Yeah.
Even now, I have things like but most things, I don't want to say I do too much for other people. Do you want to say and schedule another time? Do you want to do that?
Oh no, we're good.
Okay. I don't want to say I do too much for other people, but because I just don't do enough for myself. Which I need to.
Yeah.
I need to do the things I'm putting on.
Like what are those things you're putting off?
Multiple stuff. Just to be the other side of the canvas, to be the drawer or the painter, the photographer, to finally pick up that camera that was given to me. I got an idea of what I want to do for the first picture, so that I just need to stop procrastinating and pick that up and do the acting stuff, the courses, the drop-in sessions, the things like that. And say no to things. Like when I'm not doing anything doesn't mean I'm not doing anything. It can mean I'm resting.
Sure. Yep.
So look, I had 2 hours free in my diary. Oh, volunteer in the charity shop. I know what? I'll stay home and sleep or something. Just chill, just relax.
I feel that, man. I totally feel that. Before we end it, do you have any projects that you're working on that you want to talk about?
Not really, no. Not. I've got stuff in my head like the talking, the motivational, but it's not on paper yet or at all. But the things that we've spoken about will be hopefully the future projects.
No, I'm really excited to see what you do. I love your story so much. I can't wait for people to hear it. I appreciate you sharing everything you did. I really do. This has been Character Asked It with Daryl Hembro. Follow him up, hit him up, support this guy. I'll see y'all next time. Peace up.
The most prestigious network in the land, the Signature Series Network.